Hey guys, this is Cop Peepers. Just wanted to kind of give you guys some info on some 3D printing. I just got my new Yi camera, which is similar to the GoPro, just a little bit cheaper. One of my buddies in Neverwinter actually recommended it for me on my guild. But today, I'm going to go over some of the settings for 3D printing, specifically for printing with ABS plastic, which it sounds like a lot of people have some issues with. Very easy for me to print with it. I've had no issues whatsoever. So I'm hoping that some of this information will help. So number one is going to be definitely make sure you have leveled your print bed. I'll do a separate tutorial on how to level a print bed for the Lulzbot Taz 5. The Lulzbot Mini, I believe, actually has auto leveling, so you don't really have to worry about that with the Lulzbot Mini. So, let me take a look at the setup over here, and I'll show you my ABS plastic. As you can probably hear, it's printing already, because I have a project I'm doing for some buddies. So, let's take a look. Over here, you're going to see the filament of ABS. It's a 5-pound roll that I got. Runs about $90 US on Lulzbot's website. And as I said, you can see that it is actually printing right now. The, it's set. It's going to take about 9 hours, give or take. And as you can see above it up here, we have some ABS neon green and some T-glaze. Or T-glass. So I am going to show you the settings that I'm using here. So I'm going to go right over here. And on here, I'll actually minimize control. Like I said, I'm printing badges for the Pokemon Go craze. A bunch of buddies actually play. I played for a little bit, kind of off and on. Again, you can see it's going to take about 9 hours. So yeah, let's go over some of the settings. First thing that you will want to do is I actually switched mine over to full settings. A lot of people will start with quick print. Quick print actually gives you, quite a few options on here for, well, gives you enough options to get started. Personally, if you go to intermediate, then you get the option for ABS. If you stay in beginner or above, so first run, you'll actually will not get the option for ABS. So make sure you select that. The next options it gives you is standard, high speed, or high detail. This is what you would consider a high detail print. So print support structures are going to be if there's anything that actually has a angle or a ledge or something that it needs support under it. None of these do. They're flat on the bottom, as you can see. There's no overhangs. There's no 90-degree angles. It's perfectly fine. Print brim, a lot of people say that you will want to, or you'll want to, actually want to do a pretty thick one, but I actually don't use them. So, like I said, we'll go to the full settings. It'll ask you, do you want to override or modify the ones that you have? You can click no, click yes. It doesn't really matter. We're going to load a different profile anyway. So, then you go up to File and go ahead and open up go to File and open up a module file. And one of the model files will be, any of the badges I have there, which would be one of these. Next, go ahead and open up a profile. I got mine just right from the Taz, the Lulzbot website, so this is where I got all my downloads. You can see high quality, which is what we're using right now. I'll load that one first real quick. Okay. So high quality is what we're using right now. Next one is high speed, and then medium quality, which, like I said, is what I usually recommend for people who are doing their first prints. It doesn't use up as much filament or as much material. It doesn't take as much time, so if there's things you have to change, you can certainly do it with, with very few in between time. And it's just all around good practice. So once you get better at it, you can certainly do the high quality ones like I do now. The high-speed ones, or if you're going to do something super simple like a circle, I use it when I make a couple of dice, you know, just odd and end stuff. As you can see, I actually have the ones for Ninja Flex. I do have the Flexi extruder, which I'll do a separate video for, separate tutorial on it for Ninja Flex. Nylon, which has been very helpful, especially making rip cords for our son's Beyblades, if any of you guys know what that is. And of course the T-glass that you saw up top earlier. So anyway, like I said, I selected the high quality. I want these badges to look good for our friends that are going to be playing, and of course, you know, showing off their flair. So let's go into the settings. So most of these are pretty standard. It's going to be set about the same, just because of the material that we're using. So the shell thickness will be about 1 millimeter. Layer height will be about 0.18, and the bottom and top thickness for the fill-in will be 0.8. Now the fill density is by default set to 20. The highest I'd recommend going up to is 75%, and that's only if your client wants it, if they really push for it. Once you hit about 50 to 60%, there's really no difference past that. It's going to be as strong as it possibly could be, but there are other things you can do later on after your print is done to make it stronger if need be. Or there's other materials you can use. ABS isn't the best for every single project. Print speed, I set mine to 50 because that's what the profile set it to by default. Most people say in between 40 and 60. 50 is right in the middle, it's fine. Leave it right there. Support type, we don't need any. Again, like I said, these objects are flat on the bottom. There's no overhangs, there's no edges, there's no things that need support. I've tested these rings that you can see up at the top here that they can hang by, and they come out just fine. You don't need any support structures. Platform adhesion, I'm not using any. Like I said, a lot of people say to use a brim with ABS, but I simply don't use it. In advanced settings, we have the 0.5 millimeter nozzle, the hex nozzle, which means the initial layer thickness should be around 0.4. The profile by default sets it to 0.425, which is perfectly fine. It'll adhere very well in the first layers. The fan's not ran during the beginning, so it can stick. Actually, right now the fan is running, and that's because it's probably, I'd say, 3 layers in, give or take. And then once you have all these settings and have double checked them, you can also check your machine settings. I actually already did mine. So you go there, and you can tell it how big your print bed is, which these are the default ones once you set it up for the Taz. Marlin is the firmware we're running, which is for the last Lowell's Bot Taz 5. You can see there's a couple others here for MakerBot. You can use Cura with other 3D printers. It's an open software that works very well with 3D printers. It's what it's made for. You can change the name, remove machine, etc. You can see single extruder version 2, the hex extruder, 0.5 millimeter nozzle. There's also a 0.3. The Flexi is a 0.6. So just keep in mind what you have for nozzle. And once you're able to set up the machine type, you can see there's, you know, all these other settings too. Most of them you can set by default, or set to default, or leave default, and they'll be fine. And then on here, my house is kept at 75 degrees. You can basically, if it's pretty warm, like 75, 80 degrees, I don't think you need an enclosure. You saw mine doesn't have one. I run my extruder at 240 Celsius, which is about 500 degrees Fahrenheit, bed temp at 110 Celsius, and I haven't had any but a few warps with prints. So I think I think if you have your house around that temperature and the room that you're in stays around that temperature, 75 to 80 Fahrenheit, you should be able to run it without an enclosure. Although when you get to bigger prints, enclosures are definitely a good idea. It will keep the temperature all around the same, which will help your higher up layers adhere together and will make the structure that much more durable. So definitely, if you can do an enclosure, certainly do one. Fantastic project. There's other tutorials out there to show you how to do that. I may make one later on when I get time, but right now that's all you really need for ABS plastic. And then as you can see, I just kind of started mine up. I did tell it to extrude twice and pulled the filament that pushed out from it. That just ensures that there is filament being pulled out, and that when I go to hit print, that it will certainly start to print and filament will start to extrude as it's supposed to. So just kind of a little tip there. I do move it up once just to make sure it's not right on the print bed. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or any comments, please, let me know and I'll answer them the best I can. For the profiles, I'll include the link to Lulzbot specifically for the TAS 5 profiles. I'll include a separate one for the TAS 1 through 4. And I will, of course, include the link and credit for these badges here. I usually use Yagi, which I also include the link for. It is basically the Google of 3D printing. You search it and